I'm Fitz Randolph, and we're back with Jim Gibson, Music Maker, Part 2. Jim has just recounted his story of being slugged in a restaurant for bringing a African-American musician in with him.
And they were saying, we're not ever coming to the South again.
Oh, my Lord.
And what the problem was the black guys didn't get hit because they can't help being black. I, as a white guy, should know better and should not have been in there with these black guys. And so some redneck jerk comes up and knocks me out, cleans my clock.
And he was fully justified, of course, you know, because of the regulations, the unwritten regulations of the day.
It was another era. It was
another era. And
however,
thank heavens that's gone.
As I said, I was at Mercy University. We had a very liberal administration, so I went and I talked to the Dean of Men, Joe Hendricks. And he said, well, I know some leaders in the black community. Let me make a few phone calls and see what I can do. And so he said, called me the next day. He said, Jim, you may not want to go back down to Spillers this week. Spillers was the restaurant. Because we're going to have the entire restaurant filled for 2 days with black students who are going to go in, order a cup of coffee, and do nothing else but sit.
Oh my.
They're not going to say anything. They're not going to do anything.
The first sit-in.
It was the first sit-in.
One of the first sit-ins.
And I never knew exactly what happened because I knew I wasn't going back
you weren't going down there. But there wasn't a big riot or a fight or anything?
No,
or just,
nope.
I think the
point was made.
Okay, we'll be right back. Yeah, we're back with the Music Makers. We got Jim Gibson, and I just asked him if he could play with his hands a little closer together so we get a tight shot, you know, and he did it. So, and what was it? Where did you get? What was your entree into being interested in jazz?
Well, it was interesting. You know, I realized that I could play this stuff on the piano. I'm a piano player, so I was interested in buying albums by piano players. I didn't buy sax players. I didn't buy trumpet players. I bought piano players.
They might be on the album. But
they might be on the album, but it was Oscar Peterson, who I couldn't really copy because it was too good.
That's amazing.
There was Errol Garner, who I could copy because he had a style that was copyable. And the advantage of Errol Garner is that he's self-contained. He's doing the bass stuff and all the rhythm stuff here, and he's playing with doing the melody.
What's so good about that? That's impossible.
Whereas the other guys are doing just little jagged chords in the left hand. They're just comping, but they're leaving space for a bass player. Well, I didn't have a bass player, no bass player, so I got to do it myself. So that's where Errol Garner came in. So I had a huge collection of Errol Garner records by then.
I think I have too.
And you did too,
Yeah.
So, and plus I was learning these songs from these albums. So they're the great standards. Maybe not so much the real jazz standards, a few of them, but
Oh yeah.
But the Great American Songbook standards.
Yeah.
So that was a good learning for me.
So
I played every Friday and Saturday night for the rest of my college career at the Pine Brook Inn, and then Ralph
same place.
Yeah, and then Ralph would get gigs for us at the Officers Club at Warner Robins or an Elks Club or a Moose Club.
Yeah.
And that's all it was.
So it was Friday and Saturday night.
You walk in and you take whatever piano you got, which oftentimes was awful.
Out of tune
out of tune. Maybe painted.
Thumbtacks stuck in the...
Yeah, maybe thumbtacks, maybe
Stuck in
painted
the-
blue, maybe painted
Yeah.
white. I never played in a place, this is before the chicken wire place. I wasn't playing, this was not rock and roll I was playing. This was kind of a dance band in the older style,
Like Les Elgar?
He would do,
Larry.
That was one of our big songs that it wrote.
Yeah.
But Ralph was great. He taught me a lot, and he was a good player, and it kind of got me into music.
Fabulous.
Had that not happened, I probably would be an English teacher and never would have done graduate school. I went to Emory. I was in graduate school in English. And somehow, I don't remember exactly how I did this, but I got a job at Pascal's La Carousel.
Oh, yeah.
Which was pretty much one of the very few jazz clubs. All the jazz clubs then were on the black side of town. So I don't know why he hired me, but he did. And so I had like the house job. And
But how many, were there black and white? It was a mixed
Yeah, it was
band?
pretty, it was, no, I think my sidemen were all black most of the time. It changed from time to
I mean,
time.
it was kind of a black, I mean.
It was a completely black
Black
establishment.
establishment.
And I have a funny thing. When there was some name act there, I would be the house trio, piano, bass, drums trio, and then the act would come do a set, and then we'd play, and then they'd do a set.
Mhm.
So this is at the height of Ramsey Lewis's career. You know, he's got
Yeah.
the in crowd going.
Oh, yeah, I just listened. Yeah.
Remember that? So Ramsey
I
Lewis
do.
is very hot. He's a big star. So all the white folks came to the carousel.
Ah,
And so I'm up there playing a little house band thing, and this little lady with a nice fur on, obviously very well-to-do woman,
Mhm.
came in. She said, she walks up to the piano, which is right on the edge of the stage, and she looks up and she says, "Excuse me, sir, are you Ramsey Lewis?"
oh,
I said, "No, ma'am, Ramsey Lewis is black." And
Yeah.
she didn't miss
she
a
was a
beat.
white woman, yeah.
Yeah,
and-
she didn't know who she was there to see. She
Yeah.
just knew he was famous. She said, "Well, we'll just call you the white Ramsey Lewis." Okay, well, I'll take that, but
Yeah.
I don't deserve it. But,
Boy, yeah, I'll call that a compliment.
I would
you
call
know.
that a very good
I would say that's
compliment, but
quite
she
a
didn't
compliment.
know. You know, she was just
No.
there because. But the other
so
thing I
now-
was doing for records was I'd
Yeah.
come to Atlanta because that was the mecca, and there were a couple of great record stores here. There's one right downtown where Peachtree Street and Forsyth Street split, just in that narrow
In
little
the Flatiron Building?
Yeah,
kinda?
almost in the Flatiron Building.
Huh.
They had a lot of sale records, a lot of cutout stuff. And I would come up and I'd buy whatever was on sale that looked like jazz, whether I knew the person or not.
Hmm.
I'd buy the Prestige label, remember those?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
So I had
Still
all
got
this
it, yeah.
huge collection of guys like Red Garland,
Mm-hmm,
who were
yeah,
not necessarily famous, some early Herbie Mann because he's a flute
Yeah.
player. And I
right,
did
right.
that. But I had a very uneven collection based on number one, piano players,
Good
who I
start.
thought I could copy.
Interrupt the flow of his career to bring you to the point where I met Jim and his wife Sandra. My wife and I had just moved to Atlanta in 1968, July 5th. We moved into our little apartment, and we'd been there about 3 or 4 days when there was a knock at the door, and there was Jim and his wife. And they were holding this big pile of material, and they said, "You guys, you know, we made these drapes for this apartment, and you know, they're really still good. You guys want them?" And we said, "Oh, okay, we'd like them." So they, you know, we paid them $50.
I don't know. I have no
$25. I don't remember, but they just a real good price, of course. And so we started talking, and I found out Jim was a piano player, jazz man, and
And I found out you were a photographer, which was my other big interest.
yeah, and I mean that began the friendship, which has
And
gone on for all.
You might mention
all
the
the time.
vehicles that we owned at the time.
Well, we ended up we had Volkswagen campers, same car. We
Oh, that's
camped
good.
together. We went canoeing, and I was doing photos. I may look up something and see if we could cut to a photo of one of your groups with
Whoa.
Holly Berry.
Holly Berry, yes.
Holly Berry
Berry's
and
singer.
Gene Farr
Yep.
and Jim Gibson. I did these cool. They came to the
did.
studio. We set up
We
background
did-
paper.
Yeah, and you had a big old piano, and I remember we
I had an
draped
upright.
ourselves on this
Oh
upright
yeah,
piano.
I got to find that shot.
That was a
because
good shot, yeah.
That's a great shot. I think it's down there in that cabinet. But anyway, I was so impressed at that time with his ability as a pianist, and we both love photography and we both love music. But anyway, here he is. He's in Atlanta because he's in graduate school for English. You're going to teach English.
I was going to
probably.
teach English.
Or-
I thought a novel or a poet, and it wasn't really interesting to me. And I'm playing at Pascal's La Carousel, this
2
jazz
nights a
club.
week? Was this 2
It
nights?
was 5 nights a week.
5 nights
So,
a week you had to go.
man,
When did that
can't-
start? At 10 o'clock at night?
No, I think it started earlier. It wasn't that
Not
late.
that late, yeah.
But, you know, I'm going over here to this vibrant
Man.
jazz where the pulse of life is just throbbing. you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just all this life and the music is exhilarating. And then I go back in and there's this droning professor, and you know, on page 57, Faulkner says,
Oh,
can't do this.
yeah.
So I just quit. I didn't withdraw. I didn't tell Emory.
You just stopped going?
I just stopped going, which
can't do
is
that.
pretty much the worst thing you can do.
You can't do that. What about
Um,
your credentials? you
Well,
know?
eventually I went back and
Well-
finish that somewhere else, but that's another story entirely.
How were you learning music at that time? How
Well,
were you
at that
learning
time,
new
you know,
songs?
we were trying to put little groups together, like the group you photographed.
Mm-hmm.
So we would get together and we would figure out what we wanted to do. We'd rehearse.
You
We'd
bought
do-
some sheet music, or
We'd do sheet music. You'd
or
buy
did you
books,
write?
or you'd have records, or somebody would write out a little arrangement.
Hmm.
And we were doing popular music then. It wasn't so much jazz. I think with that group you photographed, we worked at a restaurant called the Sandpiper
Yeah, I remember
on
the Sandpiper.
Piedmont. Yeah, it was a nice. It was a
yeah,
nice
nice
place.
restaurant. So
And that
you were
was-
playing. Let's see, who would you have been playing?
Well, we were
with
at that point. We were playing
What did
things
that
like.
sound
You know, things like that. We're playing, trying to do hip stuff. I remember one of the tunes we did was a Sergio Mendez song called,
I sure know that too.
so we were doing pretty nice stuff, and that gig lasted a while. And somehow, Fitz, I don't remember how, I got hooked up with some of the booking agents who did commercial jobs in town. So that was kind of the end of my nightclub work. And I started getting calls to go play for conventions and social events, just one night
interesting.
things, always private stuff.
Yeah,
And that would have
paid
been,
well.
it paid very well compared to the other. It was always one night, maybe 2 nights or something like that. And that's what I've done for the last 40 years. No more nightclubs, gone.
Yeah.
No more late hours, no more smoky joints, no more crappy money. Occasionally I'll get invited to come play a jazz program for somebody, and I'm always careful to ask them what they mean.
What do
And
they mean by jazz?
A lot of
Yeah.
times what they mean is instrumental music. They don't know what jazz is.
Right.
They want to hear melodies.
They don't want a symphony.
They may
They
not,
want-
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of probe and figure out what people want, but it makes me, and I guess it's because I played all these commercial jobs for so long, I want to play what people want to hear. I don't want to, and that's the way I always got hired back, you know.
Right,
You do
exactly.
the job, you make the picture they want.
It makes
and they'll
sense,
spread
you
the
know.
word. It makes
Right,
sense.
right.
You know, Fitz, I remember one time I was playing with a little trio down at the Peachtree Plaza Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Remember where we were, outside one of the ballrooms, or outside several ballrooms. And we were just playing, who knows what we were playing for. It could have been the Truckers Association. Could have been anybody. They were having a cocktail hour. And in the next ballroom was a how to get into the music business seminar.
Really?
So we're playing a little commercial trio music, and all these young kids, very hip dress, came out and they looked at us so scornfully, like, you sell out
Oh my
musicians.
God.
And I'm thinking, well, you know, maybe so,
Excuse me, yeah.
maybe not, but number one, we're making music.
And, yeah.
Number two, we're making
a
money.
living.
We're making a living.
Yeah.
We're gonna make more from this gig
Yeah.
than you're likely to make from music in a while
Yeah.
until you get. And maybe we're taking the safe route of the actual gigs that they're here, and they're going for the home run. Maybe they were going
What
for
will it
becoming a
be?
record producer in
Yeah.
Nashville.
Right.
What are their chances? Not very great. But so I guess the point is there's a lot of ways, a lot of routes, a lot of ways to go.
What a great instrument. We're back with Jim Gibson.
Well, music really works, you know, and it does evoke emotions, and that's why. Gosh, I remember one time I was playing for some reason in the lobby of a hospital down on Peachtree, Crawford Lawn Hospital.
Right.
And they had a nice
I
Steinway in
remember
the
that
lobby.
gig, yeah.
They had a Steinway in the lobby, and I'd be playing, and somebody would come up to me and ask for some song, and I'd play it for them. And more than once, they would stand there, and I could see tears coming down their cheek, and I would think,
Yeah.
well, nobody's in the hospital for fun, so something's going on in
Something,
their
yeah,
lives.
yeah,
And that
That's
music
power.
is triggering
That's
some
power.
powerful memory.
yeah. That's power. That's a gift. It's entrepreneurship is what,
Yeah.
you know, we need now. I mean, it's what people are doing. I
Well,
think
this is
more
the
and more.
technology we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
I can record it at home, which I did.
Well, we're going to have to do another show and talk about what Jim is doing to continue his creative work and to also make some money as he continues to use his talent. And we'll get back to more of that in another show. But before we leave today on the Music Makers, I want you to hear a show that he and I put together here at Gallery Underground, where he assembled a wonderfully talented group of musicians. And here's a couple samples from that show.
Only the jazz lovers. I wanted to appeal to people who walk in.
I'm Fitz Randolph. Thank you for watching The Music Makers. And remember, keep listening to music.
Gibson on piano and Bill Bennett on drums.
Thank you guys for coming and being so attentive. This is great. Every Saturday, Fitz?
Yeah!